Welcome everybody out there in the Facebook world to Networking at Noon. Today we're joined by Tom Fleming, and it's a special Networking at Noon in that this week is International Networking Week. Tom, for those people out there watching and they don't have a clue, what is International Networking Week all about?
Well, International Networking Week is actually an initiative that was started by BNI 14 years ago. And the overall theme is to celebrate what networking accomplishes and creates for the small business owner. Let's face it, and I might talk a little bit about it today, we all don't have $1 million advertising budget. And so we need to get out there and do some networking, develop some relationships. This year's theme to International Networking Week is a world of thanks. And that is about, especially given what we've been through over the last year, taking the time to acknowledge people who have helped us and to thank them and to be gracious and fill our hearts with gratitude about them. And I don't think I've ever expressed how grateful I am to have you in my life. And so I just wanted to take this time to share how wonderful our 15, 16, 18-year relationship has been. You've definitely made an impact in my life, taught me a lot of things, and I don't know, superstar, emphasis on the T, Tiffanie.
Well, I think, we always joke, TNT, because we light some stuff up, Tom and Tiffanie. And I was thinking, so I got involved in BNI in March. It was March of 2005 when I put in my application. So I'm coming up on 16 years in the organization. I know things have changed. So like some of the stuff is still exactly the same. Some of the things have changed in BNI so very much. But for me, BNI was my very first networking experience. I had never been to an event before, and I didn't even know what I was going into. Do you remember your first networking event? What group it was? Do you remember any of that?
I do. It was when I was getting out of college, and they were like, "Oh, you got to network. You got to network. You got to network." And I was like, "This is crap. I'm not creating any results for myself networking." And I was naive. I didn't understand that there was some strategy to this, and you actually had to target, what you were looking to create for yourself. And at 21, 22 years old, who the heck knows what they want to create for themselves? I certainly didn't. What do you want to create, Tom? I want to get a job. Yeah, that's what I want to do.
I want to pay the bills,
Right. Yeah, exactly. I just spent 22 years getting educated, paying money. It's time to, get some of that back. But no, in all seriousness, I did not have a great perception of networking until I started a vending company in Boston, Massachusetts. The little gumball machines that you put a quarter in.
Oh my gosh.
And my business partner, he bought 10 machines, and then he calls me a week later and he says, "I bought 20 more machines." And I said, "We haven't even placed our first 10. How are we supposed to place 30 machines?" And so I got really good at cold calling with him standing behind me. "Hi, my name's Tom Fleming from Confectionery Expressions. We're offering these machines for the convenience of your customers." And we placed about, I don't know, well, we placed most all of the machines through cold calling, but one of my clients was Betty Deans from the Braintree Flower Shop. I never forget the woman who sponsored me into BNI. She said, "Come to this meeting." And I said, "Okay." And so I went to the meeting, and there was maybe 13 people sitting around a conference table. And they said, "Now, Tom, it's your turn to stand up and speak." Me, Tom? Stand up and speak? Oh boy. So I got up, sweaty palms, shaky voice. I think my voice cracked like a little prepubescent teenage boy. And And I was off and running. I made application that day. I was fairly broke at the time. At the time, BNI had 6-month memberships for $135.
Oh, wow.
Broke out my credit card and said, I hope I can do this. I hope I can do this. And yeah, it's all because of the fact that, well, you started out cold calling too. You
Yep.
know, who the heck wants to grow their business in that way? And I started through those initial years to get an appreciation of what networking could be all about for me. And I got to tell you, when I first started networking, I had to change my attitude in a big way,
Okay.
because I had, worked in these Fortune 500 companies. I got an undergraduate degree in business. I got a master's degree in business, and I was this overeducated buffoon, with the tie up to here. And it was just, I had to learn that relationships happen from heart to heart. And I had to get out of my head and just get real and authentic with people and be in integrity with myself and my relationships with them. I'm talking a lot here. I'm sorry.
No, and that's okay. Though we do have, so Matt Wilkerson says hello. He's watching us on Facebook. He says, is that TF from TF, Tom Fleming from Tampa, Florida? Close enough, right? And for those of you watching on Facebook, if you are a BNI member, do you remember the name of the person that sponsored you into your chapter? Darren sponsored me into the chapter. Yeah, I totally remember that because it made such a huge impact. So put into the chat box. And if you have any questions for Tom, feel free to put those in the chat box and we'll get to them. And I guess technically it's not the chat box. Please comment. I'm mixing up my Zoom and my Facebook. But so how long ago do you remember how long it was when you got into BNI?
1996. But before we move on, if you remember the person that sponsored you, given that it is International Networking Week and the theme is a world of thanks, reach out to that person and just thank them for changing your life. Thank them for changing your life, if that's at all possible. Because I know BNI, the culture of the organization, what the organization is about, has certainly changed my life. But yeah, I've been a member since 1996.
Gotcha. And so you're no longer doing vending. You're no longer have the gumballs anymore, do you? What are you doing nowadays?
Nowadays, well, I was the executive director for BNI in the Tampa and West Central Florida area. And also, I've been an Asentiv franchisee since 1999. 1999, wow, time flies.
Yeah.
But I've since given up my executive director role. I'm still thoroughly committed to the training, teaching, and opening the world for people through the education that's offered through Asentiv. And linked in with that, I'm doing a lot of coaching right now, coaching people on their referral-based marketing strategy, but also understanding that their referral-based marketing strategy is only an aspect to their business. And so I'm working with clients on organizational development. What's the vision of their business? What's the mission of their business? And I know we get into that in Asentiv, but what are the organizational ramifications of that vision? What are the systems that need to go in place? And then, I don't know, I tell people, first I got into BNI and then BNI got into me. So I'm actually an assistant director, believe it or not, for 5 chapters here in the West Central Florida area. And I'm so excited and proud to be working with them.
I shared that with a director from another area the other day. I'm like, yeah, Tom's still around. He's an assistant director. And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's hard to leave the organization even when, you step out of one role, there's always another role for you.
3 of my 5 chapters this week, the other 2 haven't had their meetings, have hosted 20 plus visitors and guests during their weekly meeting to celebrate International Networking Week.
That is awesome.
I'm fired up for them. Yeah.
Now, I mean, so you've been doing BNI since 1969. Sorry, I was mixing my number. 1996, sorry. 1996. So that puts us at 25 years. That's a long time to be involved. What about BNI really lights you up or inspires you to stay in tuned?
Oh, man. My first 10 years out of college, I worked in manufacturing environments where I got to understand the whole concept of process. And then I transitioned to work in a retail environment where I set up an inventory control system for 176 store retail chain in the building materials area. Any of you from the Northeast, you might remember a company called Grossman's. But unfortunately, Home Depot and Lowe's came in and beat the crap out of us. Can I say that? I don't know.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, good. But anyway, in those environments, the quote that comes to mind is Norm from Cheers. Remember Norm from Cheers?
Yeah.
He said, "It's a dog eat dog world, and I'm wearing milk bone underwear." And that's the way it was. And to come into BNI where everybody is positive and supportive and looking forward, and they're inspired and they're goal oriented, and surrounding yourself with people like that versus backstabbing and finger pointing and, oh my God, the drama. Yeah. And that's what lights me up about BNI, pouring into other people's success. As a result of everything that I've taken the time to pour into myself, I am definitely, what is it called? A continuous learner, a lifelong learner. I wake up every morning, pour myself a cup of coffee and sit in a chair for 40 minutes and read a chapter out of a great book. I'm reading a book now called You Are Enough. Oh. And it is powerful. Yeah.
Excellent. Love it. And now, speaking of this idea of lifelong learning and pouring into others, you're involved with Asentiv. For those people watching, I know we're here on the Asentiv channel, but for those people watching that don't know what Asentiv's all about, what is Asentiv all about?
Oh, man. Yeah. It's a coaching, training, and consulting company. We work with business professionals that rely on relationship marketing, referral-based marketing, and we actually help them create. We help them create a referral-based marketing plan for their business. I can't tell you how many business professionals I've spoken to, and I said, "Do you have a business plan?" Very few hands go up in the audience.
Yeah.
Do you have a marketing plan? Hardly any hands go up in the audience. Do you have a referral-based marketing plan? No hands go up in the audience. Unless, of course, they're an Asentiv graduate, okay? And you know what? Most people think networking is about throwing stuff on the wall, hoping some of it's going to stick. And you know how much sticks?
Not a lot.
Very little. There is strategies and tactics and ways to move from point A to point B in a linear fashion. Versus most people, they take the bunny trail to grow their business. They hop over here. Oh, that didn't work. And then they hop back over. Oh, that didn't work either. And they eventually get there 15, 20 years down the line. But if they could get there in 8 years, wow. So what is it you like to say? In Asentiv, we help people make more money, save time, and have some fun in the process.
Yeah. And so people that are BNI members may be exploring Asentiv for the first time. What's the difference between the two organizations?
Oh, okay. So if you think of a triangle here, and then a triangle here, okay? BNI is all about networking with some education on the bottom, okay? Asentiv is a whole lot about education with a little bit of networking on the bottom. And when you put the two of those things together, the integration of understanding how to build relationships effectively and strategically with targeted individual and bring those skills into a form like BNI where you can use those skills, practice those skills, it puts, well, you know the statistics, it puts people's BNI memberships on steroids because they understand the VCP model. They understand contact spheres. They understand how their target market drives their referral-based marketing plan. Yeah, putting those two things together are like peanut butter and jelly.
You know, you mentioned the statistics because I'm a numbers gal, results gal, and I think we found the people that have done Asentives Ignite Your Business, when it comes to BNI, bring double the visitors.
Yeah.
They only bring 24% more referrals, though what I think is much more impactful is the fact that they bring 72% more thank you for closed business.
Okay, so whoa. I don't, the fact that they only pass 24% referrals, okay, but pass so much more thank you for closed business, you know what that means? That means they're not passing leads anymore because they now have an understanding of what a referral versus a lead is. And so when they pass a referral to someone, it's darn near done deal business. And that's why the thank you for closed business shoots up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love that because I mean, wouldn't we prefer to get referrals that are ready to close versus let me chase them down? So we love that. And
Oh,
for those of you that, you know, are looking at the Power One score, looking at the chapter traffic lights, we typically find a 25% higher score for people that have done the Ignite Your Business versus that haven't. And what does that mean for BNI members being higher in the green or in the yellow?
yeah, so the Power of One report measures to me the level of engagement of a member with respect to giving. Now, people know that the philosophy of BNI is givers gain. So if you're in the green, that means that you're fully engaged. You're giving a lot. So actually, you're positioning yourself to gain a lot. Okay, versus the people who are just kind of showing up, if you will, they're not maximizing. I referenced the VCP model before. They're not maximizing their visibility and credibility that leads to profitability.
Yeah, and on that, Matt says it is all about who you know, like, and trust, and building that VCP or the know, like, and trust. And so that's so powerful. Matt actually said Tom Adair invited him. He was part of the launch for a strategic alliance. He remembers that.
Awesome. And I got to give out a shout out to Matt Wilkerson. I hope you're planning on having him on one of these sessions because Matt is an incredible networker, but he's even a more incredible human being. I mean, he's got the hugest heart. He's always involved in the community. I mean, Christmas time, he stands at the end of the Walmart checkout and basically looks for people that he can buy their whole basket worth of Christmas gifts for their family. And just he's feeding the first responders in Ocala. I mean, the guy's incredible. You got to tell me when he's on here because I gotta tune in.
Matt is phenomenal. So, Mr. Nationwide, you get some shout outs. He's hanging out talking about us. He does say the Asentiv program is worth it. He has a question for you, Tom.
Yeah.
Will Zoom remain as strong as it is now during COVID, even after it's gone?
My feeling is absolutely. Zoom has changed the way the world is doing business. Okay. You know, I don't want to say I feel like I'm sitting in a room with you right now, but I mean, I'm sitting in a room with you right now. And this technology is fantastic. And the world just keeps moving faster and faster. Traditionally, to do business, I would have to get in the car and drive an hour and a half to Tampa, drive an hour and a half to Gainesville. We might be on the road, 3-4 hours a day. And yeah, unwisely, we may be making some phone calls during that drive time from a safety perspective, but the pace and the amount of interaction I can create and other people can create for me, is part of this transformation. I mean, just would we be doing this now if it was 2 years ago?
Nope.
No.
Or we would have to figure out how, as 90 minutes apart as we are, where we're getting together, how do we set up, all of the different logistics. And now it's like, hey, here's my link to Zoom. Let's go.
Yeah. And we used to get together at McDonald's, and I can proudly say that I have not been to McDonald's in a couple of years now as a result of.
In between us, there's not a lot. And McDonald's is about the only thing open in the morning. So yeah, we did spend a couple times a year hanging out at that McDonald's on 54 in the Veterans.
Yeah.
So switching gears, changing, because now we're laughing because we're having some fun remembering. Oh my gosh. Okay, really, there's so much stuff Tom and I could talk about, like all the crazy things that happened for the past 15 years, but we'll save that for, maybe one of our happy hours if we start that one, that we can reminisce. We've got some great memories, out in California and Louisiana, Arizona, lots of fun stuff. All right, I won't talk about that. But speaking of fun, so now that you're not, as involved as you were, you got a little bit more time, free time, maybe. What do you like to do in your free time?
Well, I'm for sure taking better care of myself. And when you sit at a desk or in a car for 20 years, there are terrible things that happen to your body. I'll just say that. I started exercising again about 3 years ago, and I literally started dumbbell presses on a flat bench with 10 pounds in each hand. And man, was that a wake-up call? Because when I was in my 20s and 30s, I mean, I was a gym rat. I'd be in the gym at 6 o'clock. I'd shower up at be out of the gym at 7:30, be to work at 8. I'd come home and I'd get on my mountain bike and ride 12 miles through the woods. And when I started working for myself, man, mountain biking, skiing, working out, and so many other things just kind of went out the window. So spending a lot of time just taking better care of myself. When I was in high school, I loved to fish. We lived on a reservoir while I was in high school, and every night after dinner, I'd be out bass fishing. And during the summers now, my wife has Fridays off, and so we have declared Fridays in the summer fishing Fridays. And we go out on the boat and catch a few bass and catch a few rays and have some fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
And we were talking a little bit earlier because it's cold right now in Florida. You said you were growing tomatoes on your patio?
Yes. I'm doing an experiment this year. I try and plant 2 crops a year. And this crop I planted in August, hoping that it would come to fruition before it started to get too cold. But the tomatoes did not. And so actually the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been picking and eating fresh tomatoes. And luckily the cold has not gotten to them quite yet. Although when I got up this morning, it was 29 degrees. And before our call, I went out and looked at them and they look okay. Yeah.
I'm doing the indoor gardening. I'm doing little baby tomatoes right now. So I'm having some fun with that. It is always like, here's a tomato that I picked.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mine are like this big, so I need lots of them and I have to supplement with other ones, but it is kind of fun.
Absolutely. I love your little garden creation that you've got going there. Is it in your office?
Yep, it's in my office.
Great.
Pre-COVID, my office was like a desk and there was some printer and like stuff. It was such not a fun place. And now my office is like, I want to hang out in my office. It's fun. I've got a big chair. I've got garden. I've got a TARDIS closet. So it's kind of just become a really cool place to be. Because I feel like we're here on Zoom for a while. So I agree with you, Tom and Matt. I think we're here on Zoom for a little while longer. And it's nice to be able to talk to people from around the globe.
And you know, another aspect of Zoom, for those of you who have said to yourself, I want to do business in the entire state of Florida, or I want to do business across the United States, or I want to do business across the world. That's now possible. That's now possible. I know you've done a fantastic job of attracting people from around the nation and even a few people from around the world into Ignite Your Business, an Asentiv program, into Roomful of Referrals, an Asentiv program. And that would not have been possible January of 2020, only a year ago. Yeah, the transformation, the ability to pivot that you've made is quite tremendous, with the intention of touching people's lives with working smarter, being more effective, making more money, saving time, having fun, right?
Doing all the things that we share with people on, in the Asentiv programs.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with us, Tom, as we begin to come close to the end of today's episode?
You're making me nervous, okay? And the reason why you're making me nervous is, oh gosh, do I talk about this or not?
Yeah, you talk about it.
Okay.
I don't know what you want to talk about, but yes, you want to talk about it.
Yeah, you don't even know this.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that now you're making me nervous.
I was on the phone with one of my coaches last Monday. I work with a few different coaches because I think everybody needs a coach. And we were talking about next steps for me. And, I put it out there. I said, yeah, I have some thoughts about writing a book, someday. And he said, oh, what would the title be? Oh, Power on Purpose, Power on Purpose. I said, the subtitle would be The System is the Secret. And he's like, how about it? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not ready for that. So I usually go to bed at 9 and I wake up at 5, okay? And the last few days, I've spent the first hour of my day after my reading, writing for about an hour. And I've got about 15 pages. Well, first I've got a complete outline of this book. And I've probably got about 15 or 20 pages written already. And why I'm nervous about this, although I'm thoroughly enjoying writing every day, why I'm nervous about this, and you've probably had this experience because you've written 3 or 4 books, is you start a book, but it's like, am I ever going to finish this thing? I don't know. I'm going to need some coaching from you on this. I'm going to need some coaching from you on this because, I mean, well, there's one of your books right there, Socks to Success, and I know you've got a few others. And that's why I'm nervous to talk about it, because I'm really excited about it, but the whole concept of like finishing it is something that just seems far away from me right now. And I think I need to sit with that for a little while and not have it feel so far away.
Well, if you're writing every day, then you just continue to write. And, in a couple of weeks, then you can worry about, how far away it is. For now, just enjoy, hey, I get to write today.
That's good advice. Thank you for being my mentor.
And I'm not yet asking you what date is the book going to be published. Though that question's coming soon.
This is the big one. Like,
I'm not asking that one yet. Though you know me, I like to know when. I'm super excited. Congrats. I know for you, it's probably going to be, how do I limit, because it could be this 5,000 page book because you got so much knowledge on all the different things that people can be. So I'm sure it's going to be a wealth of information. And my guess, the problem is going to be, what do you include and what not do you include? Not how do I fill up a book? I think you'll be fine there. Yeah.
Thanks for praying for that.
Okay, so let me ask you an easy question.
Okay.
What's your favorite brew?
Oh, um, geez, I don't. Well, I'll just say beer.
And then what kind of beer?
I like IPAs. I like the Belgium triple and quads. To get a good night started, I really like a beer called a Dirty Bastard in a frosty cup with a shot of Crown in it. And yeah, that's quite tasty, and it works.
Okay, so note to Rob, we need to get the beer and the Crown because I haven't had that combination before. So that sounds yummy to try.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Yeah.
But only have one of those 1 or 2 times a week.
I would think a few of those would probably sneak up on you pretty quickly, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. I will rarely drink. Well, I will never drink the same beer in a night. If I have, a couple of beers, it's always one type and then another type. Yeah, because I drink it for the flavor. Yeah, the experience.
Yes. It's interesting when I'm out at a restaurant, if I'm at a beer bar, regular restaurants, they don't usually have that much selection, but it's like, you want one of the same? I'm like, no, I want to try, you've got 100 beers on tap. I want to try more than one of them. Though there are some people that go to those bars and they still just order their Bud Light. But that's okay, to each their own.
There you go.
So Tom, if people are trying to get in touch with you to find you, where can we find you at?
Best way to reach me is Tom F. F as in Fleming. Tom F at asentiv.com. ASENTIV.com.
And speaking of Asentiv, you've got something that you're starting in a couple of months. Do you want to tell us about that you're doing special?
Yeah, I am so excited about this. I want to attract a room full of coaches so that we can mastermind together. I'm creating a coaches mastermind because, let's face it, there's different marketing techniques given a coach's practice that different coaches could employ. Let's get together and share what's working, what's not working. There's different coaching techniques that coaches utilize. Let's get together and share and broaden each other's perspective on how we interface with clients. Let's share our respective business models. There's so much business out there for everybody, and especially if we've got a coach from New Orleans and a coach from Connecticut and a few coaches from Florida and a coach from Chicago. The tide rises all ships. If we could get a group of 12, 15 coaches together, masterminding once a month, whoo! Yeah, I think that would contribute to everybody's success. And that's what lights me up.
Love it. Love it. Well, Tom, I have to say thank you so very much for being here today with us during our special International Networking Week edition of Networking at Noon. I'm sure we will see you again eventually back for another episode, but thank you for being here. Thanks everybody for watching. Matt did say you are looking buff. So the workout must be working out. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you again next week.